Hello and welcome to the first ever chat show out of Kitchen Sink we call Behind the Sink. Basically we plan on hosting a few super casual chats where we talk about everything in the music industry, DJ trends, labels, producing tips. I look at you because you're supposed to be a producer. Anyway, so apart from asking questions and debating about stuff, we are open to questions from you guys, so go for it. Drop us some questions. For the first show, we have Warren and Ihmsen, both been around for years in Dubai, contributed to the scene. Warren's been a promoter, socialite, music lover, and pushes a lot of events with art and music. Ihmsen, a DJ, producer, promoter. And recently has taken up a lot of liking towards deco at parties, so he heads production and deco at Escape and Deep Like. So I'm going to start off with my question with to Warren. So basically this is going back to, you know, house arrest and WAP days, and so it was really curious that those days when we were supposed to be underground, and we were hosting parties in these really small venues and struggling to get 200, 300 people. Today, the electronic music scene is supposed to be at its boom everywhere in the world, also in Dubai. I am still not sure if I throw a WAP party in a small, sweaty black room, I'm still going to get 200 people, in spite of now there being so much more people listening to this music. Do you think if you had a chance to throw a house arrest, would it be easy to throw a party and get the same amount of people or more with the same amount of effort that we put in those years?
Hello. Good question. No, I've thought about this a lot actually. And if you look at house arrest, for example, that's a brand that started me off. The reason I don't have it anymore is because when we did have it, it happened at a time when Dubai was. I did it for 3 years continuously, and the fourth year it was a one-off at Ihmsen. But started at Catwalk. Catwalk. I mean Catwalk. If there was ever an opportunity to bring it back, I think I would give a limb. I think we all would. But no, I mean that was the time in Dubai when everything was a bit quiet. I think people were searching for a scene. They were searching for opportunity. There were people that. There were people, at least my friends, that I sort of saw in social situations, playing at house parties. They didn't really play in clubs a lot. I thought there was a good opportunity to do it. I think that was the charm of it. In that time there wasn't. People locally weren't taking that many chances. There were a lot of local promoters, as you know, you were one of them. But it was more of a controlled scene. You know, there was nightclubs, there was ideology behind it, but there was nothing that was raw, nothing that was local, nothing that was unheard of. Having said that, those chances that we took then gave birth to many brands today, which are doing very well, that are still around, that we are still part of. I think at this point there's a saturation to the market. I think there's a huge saturation. But what that will do is that will also create a lull eventually, because the people that don't think their concepts through well enough might not see it through, and then that will give rise to the next wave of questioning, where people think, what does the city need? How can we make it better? How do we contribute to that? Coming to your question, would we have that many people if we threw it in a nightclub? I think yes, because a lot of the people that are in Dubai now were not there at the time. A lot of people that are in the scene, that are going to the parties that we throw, didn't understand that this is where a lot of the brands that we work with came from. And if they were given the opportunity to understand that, you can have a free party and walk into a nightclub and hear your local boys do as good a job as any international ever could, I think there's a market for it. Would it be off the bat? No. I think it would be a question of throwing your first party, maybe having 50 people, 60 people, them having a great time, going and telling somebody else, and it would hopefully get back to a point where I think we can have a good local scene again. I know there are a lot of local DJs that warm up, and I know there's a lot of that going on, and people think that, maybe that's not been showcased well enough. I hear a lot of that. But yeah, I think a Warped, a House Arrest, I think Glitch is very much still around, These are all...
I was actually thinking why that this guy is, I was going to ask Chris, are you planning on bringing back?
Like even he has one-offs, I think, every now and then, just to keep the brand sort of alive and floating. But yeah, I think I've always thought that, it needs to happen, but the point is we don't have a venue for it.
Correct.
This is the huge problem. Catwalk was amazing because it was the perfect venue for anything like this. Now it's a question of which nightclub or what outdoor venue can you get, or it's all large. People are thinking very large. I don't think there's a smaller, intimate thought process just yet. And all the hotels that associated with venues are not really catering to that crowd. They don't really want to know of a free party.
But if you did a house arrest, you are confident that with the same amount of effort that we put in those years, we can get 200-300 people to pay at the door?
Again, I wouldn't ask them to pay, because I think if they had to pay, they wouldn't come. Because I think the ideology with paying here is still for international acts.
My question is, though the...
Check. Yeah, so my question was more like even though the scene is so big, is it big enough for small promoters to survive?
Well, it's big because we've done this to the scene ourselves in many ways. We've created a scene that is sort of outside of what happens locally, and I think it's now up to the people doing it to bring it back in. Okay. I think the people that are making it or have made it big need to reinvest in what's happening locally and bring that scene back. And if it doesn't happen, then all Dubai is going to be is a collection of international acts.
Correct. And just yesterday, a friend of mine had come from Bangalore, and he was like, "Hey man, there's no underground scene in Dubai." And I was like, "Yeah, what is underground now?" Like, I don't know, because at one time underground we used to think we were playing underground music, but that we were playing in small dark black rooms and sweaty things. Now everybody just wants to book the biggest DJs, 40,000 euros, 50,000 euros. Is that underground? Is that not underground? What are we claiming underground now? Like, if I say I want to go to an underground party, what is an underground party?
Well, I think the word underground firstly
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot.
It's being misused to a point where people just don't know what it means anymore, and it's just become something you put on a flyer, and someone that may not be as exposed to what an underground scene should be would assume that is it. And I think that's where it comes back down to is education.
Correct.
If you're going to use a word, then you help people understand what it means.
Correct.
And
which is why I think the small promoters in any city are important, because the big promoters are doing big money in the bank artists, and the small promoters are the one hopefully putting the balance to it and doing the thing. But I'm still not confident that I can pick up a dark room and do a party and I should sell 200-300 tickets with an international. It need not necessarily be a very popular international, but somebody who is, again, for lack of choice of words, underground.
But that's where I'm coming to now.
Oh no, I mean, I say dark small rooms because I'm only relating to the party that I threw. I mean, I'm just, I don't know, if maybe somebody else can give an, what do you say, an outcome of what it would be if it's not a techno party. I'm only saying techno party because I'm used to throwing a techno party. So I'm only talking in terms of that. But I'm just not confident enough now to take up a place and do a party like what I did before with WAP. At that time, okay, I was trying we were trying to put up a scene, like you said. But now, what do we benefit? I mean, I don't know. If we're going to throw a party, I'm still going to be biting my nails at the end of the day. Okay, can I sell 200 tickets? No. Like you said, okay, then we have to start letting in people in free. But then can we afford an international?
But
can
I guess
we educate the crowd?
I guess that's quite interesting now, because we've got a promoter like Ihmsen who's here as well. Because me standing outside the box, I mean, as a clubber, and I'm craving music, whether it be underground or so what. The thing is, where do you sort of draw the line? Because obviously there's a business aspect to things as well. And yes, we do an underground artist, or if you guys do an underground artist, will that again be fruitful in terms of business? Is that, can you really pack out, can you make the monies to do it, and does it really make sense? Or would you rather do an artist which will do the numbers, and then you do a night?
Yeah, but then you're competing then with all the other players in town. The only way you're going to stand out, in my opinion, is if you're doing something that you want to do and educate the crowd, right? So then my question is, will I be able to sell? Okay, now I'm going to ask Ihmsen this question, because he started off a concept called Escape, and he's trying something different. And what I mean by different is he was focusing a lot on production and things like this. So what's your opinion on it? What was your experience with this?
Well, it sounds good. Hello. Check. I tried starting and working on Escape because I wanted to have something different with the sound, with having more electronica-based artists down, and tech house. So that's where we had artists like who play live, and artists who play more of techno set.
But in terms of pushing a scene like that,
Yeah.
were you finding it difficult with all the competition now? Because obviously you're not booking the 40,000 euro bookings. You're not doing the 15,000 euro bookings. You're still doing.
Still really challenging, because what happens is Dubai is so small, I realized eventually, and
So we're still small. We used to be smaller then.
exactly. No, but the scene is so small, and not many people are aware of what's happening around. And currently in Dubai, people assume like, oh, everything's on social media. But I'm not a person who's
Heavy on
really a big
social.
fan of social media. I prefer my kind of marketing is like being out there, talking to people. And you'll be surprised the number of people who actually don't know Groove on the Grass.
Yeah,
Groove
actually,
on the Grass
yeah.
is really big. And at least from the kind of scene that's going on with the underground. Or
So are
music
these
in
people
general.
who don't know Groove on the Grass, are these people in the scene, not in the scene, but who just like festivals and
No.
just like the party? Who are these people?
As far, I mean, from what I know, and I talk to people a lot just to kind of get an idea of where they go and what kind of music they listen to, or they go out clubbing, or stuff like that. And I found out that they don't know about a lot of brands. And even though Deep Like, for example, Deep Like has been there for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So Deep Like has been there for like 2 years, and Groove on the Grass and Ilcom back then. There were a lot of big brands going on, and even Plus Minus for that. But people, even when I meet someone who's been, the first question you ask, like, how long have you been in Dubai? And they'll be like, I've been here for 5 years or 4 years. And it's like, oh, so where do you go? Do you go to any of the nights? Like, yo, I love techno, I love house. And where do I go? I said, you can go to Plus Minus, you can go to Analog Room, you can go to Groove on the Grass. It's like, what's Analog Room? What's Groove on the Grass? I was like, man, no, exactly. And I've had that. I was like, if you don't know those brands, you don't know Deep Like, you don't know Escape. and they literally don't know. Yeah, so this is what happens, because
Deep Like. That's for future reference.
Yeah. But what happens, everyone, mostly promoters in the city, relying heavily on social media. And social media, I think...
Well, that's the only way you can promote a party in Dubai, right? I mean,
that is once...
Well, largely, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Once you're I mean, you've been there for a long time in the industry, then the word spreads.
Then word of mouth.
Different thing, yeah, word of mouth. But I'm talking from the aspect where I've met people who actually travel around, who go clubbing, and they still don't know about brands, reputed brands. I've already been there in the industry for so long. So for me, I mean, I was like, how do you get around this? How do you, and you know, even though Dubai has like what, a population of 1.5 million or something? Yeah. That's nothing compared to like London or Berlin or New York or something. So it gets really challenging on trying to put the word out there to get people down, and people are spoiled for choice. On a weekend like Thursday or Friday, like people just want to go to places that are already like have their friends going around, or to other bigger known venues just because all their friends are there.
Right.
No one.
This has been the case even when we were at home, and you know, we were trying to do something, but always we have to keep in mind, hey, what's happening around town? If it's something that's going to attract more than 3 people in the gang, then we have to be worried, right?
Yeah.
Because then the other 3 people want to follow them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
everyone around you just moves around in groups.
Yeah.
So if you have like 7 people, out of there, like 2 of them or 3 of them even want to go to a venue that's packed, everyone wants to go there. You have a few, like I'd say like 15 or 20% of the people who actually come and support your night, that make your core of your whatever brand or night you're trying to do.
Cool.
We've got a comment that came in online since we're talking about the same and pop-ups seems to be a new thing that
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll give it to Warren. Yeah, go for it.
Pop-ups are great. Well, a pop-up would be, for example, I would consider, let's say if I did a house arrest at a venue that is not associated with the brand, for example, it could be a bar, it could be a venue that might not be associated with a club night, for example. But it still would be a one-off, it'll be a pop-up, you know, you pop your head in
basically
there, you say
you're taking your brand from one venue to another.
which is what happens pretty much in the scene a lot, because, you know, from one venue to the next, people have issues with management, with whatever it is. And, you know, then the next new venue comes up and there's no continuity. Pop-ups are great once you have a brand that is established. But if your brand is getting established by way of being a pop-up, then that's what it is. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be transient at best. What this city needs is a nightclub, number one. I think the city really needs
a few
proper nightclub. One.
few.
Let's start with one. Let's start with one.
A few,
there are many venues that are...
There's way too many promoters and way too many ideas, I think, from people when you talk about it. No, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just that, like he said, I think this place needs a lot more night clubs.
Yeah.
Dedicated for...
I mean, this is what Catwalk was. I mean, this is what Trilogy was. This is what we remember it to be. These were proper nightclubs. These were venues that people came to. They came to enjoy themselves because they knew the venue itself had a policy that was always going to trump, you know, their night. It was always going to give them a great night. Whether it was a promoter, whether it was the venue itself booking artists, it was somewhere you could go to. And I think that we lack that. Yes, there are certain brands that have been associated with certain venues and they've done a very good job of things. Fantastic. But I still would like to
But there is no, I don't know, I'm just asking. I don't think there's yet a pop-up culture in Dubai, right? There's no brand that is actually a pop-up brand. Is there?
Well, I think a few of the brands that haven't really found a home can be called pop-up brands.
By the way, let's not even only talk about Dubai. Let's even talk about India, whatever. So in India, would you consider anything a pop-up?
I'm ignorant about the scene in India because I haven't actually sunk my teeth in for a while.
Okay.
But I know that India is absolutely booming.
Booming, yeah.
A lot of my
I'm just trying to think if there is a pop-up in India. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'm not able to think of a pop-up brand in India.
I mean, a lot of my friends from back in the day are still doing very successful projects, including new projects that have come up. It's a market that I will definitely look at eventually. Mm-hmm. But you know, Dubai is
to do parties, you mean?
Yeah, just to get into the scene.
Would that be, because I know you're actively involved with a lot of art and music, would that be particularly music or art and music?
It would be both, because India is it's this vast source of talent, which I feel is completely untapped.
Yeah.
You know,
And your perspective is awesome. Awesome concept.
This is it. This is the year for perspective.
Actually, after this, you should explain something about perspective as well. You know how it came about. Anyway, I'll let you finish the pop-up and then let's go with perspective.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, pop-ups are great. I think it adds vibrancy to a scene, but the scene needs to have foundations, and I think that's what we're missing right now. We've got a lot of brands that have been around for a lot of time and do it well, and this is not in criticism of them. This is also in part to the new promoters that are coming on board.
Correct.
Because I think now this responsibility lies with them.
Correct.
I think the people that come on board now should not be trying to join a bandwagon that is well looked after and well taken care of. I think they need to look at who they are as individuals, and that's how we all started.
Correct.
We all started because we had an element of ourselves that we took into our brands and we made it work and it worked for whatever reason. The city was new, it was young, the scene was underdeveloped, whatever you want to call it. But now there's a point of saturation.
Sure.
And what I'm feeling with new promoters is that they are adding to that saturation to
Correct.
the point where they suffer. And I don't think that's fair.
And literally what? Now every club has a deep house or a techno night immaterial whether it's a weekend or a weekday.
Ihmsen, what do you feel? I mean, you know, you've been around long enough for me. Do you feel that do you have a different point of view on this?
It's good for a city or a place like Dubai to have a lot of options. No, this was just something that I wanted to do because I thought that it was lacking in Dubai, because more of live, lesser known acts that I could promote, because there were quite a good scene happening in London with upcoming DJs and producers that I wanted to get down, and I realized trying to get them down over here was really challenging because people don't know them and people don't even know their sound exactly, and they're not really up for trying something new. They always want to be like who's big names. They want to go like wherever there's a big name playing, and they always want to support those kind of nights. So it kind of gets really challenging. And again, if you're going to do something that different, you need a lot of support from your local scene, big time.
Perspective, because this leads to. So my other question was, you know, now ambience in nightclubs is so important. Whether it is a sound system, whether it's lights, deco. My question being, I know now you concentrate a lot on deco. I know Warren comes from a really creative background and he loves to get into things, making an experience at the party, right? So, what? I'll let you answer first. What goes through your head when you are taking inspiration to get to the deco part of the party? Like, I know you put in a lot of thought for Escape. I know you put in a lot of thought for Deep Black. And likewise, I know Warren has put a lot of thought for Perspective or Grew on the Grass. I know, you know. So, what goes on in your minds before you get the inspiration? Because you also have to be current. You can't do the same thing that you did last party, you know. This party has to be different. So, what is the inspiration? How do you gather this inspiration? And Deep Like and Escape Deep Like is a weekly concept. Escape used to be a weekly concept. So how do you get inspiration to keep it fresh? You know.
It's, I usually go with the flow or what's happening currently around the world, with cities, with clubbing, and I personally prefer a very minimalistic vibe and look. I'm not really much into decor. I prefer you walk into a venue and it's just like, for me it's all about the lights. So I prefer like minimalistic lighting and good sound system, most important. Like if the sound system is not good, it doesn't work for me. So I walk in, I don't care if it's bare walls or if it's just an empty warehouse or whatever, that's perfect. But what happens, you need to cater to other people that come and support you, your regulars. Everyone's looking for something different, a unique experience. So when they come in, it all adds value to your whole night. overall. So you have certain themes that you follow for certain brands that every 3 months you want to keep changing. So when people come in, they have a certain kind of experience where, wow, this looks amazing. And for us, coming from a nightlife background, we get to see and experience a lot. We're traveling around and going to different venues, different clubs and everything. Most of the people around here just have that on a weekend. They don't have, it's not their lifestyle, it's not their work. So for us to be traveling around, getting all this inspiration and coming down and trying to put that across and educate people, as Warren said, with the sound, with the music, with the decor and everything, is
What's your ideal? What is the combination of your ambience?
For me personally, I prefer a very minimalistic look and vibe. Yeah, that is more with certain kind of sound that you cater to, because that wouldn't work with sound that you're doing with, you know, like techno or tech house. So no, exactly. So you have to, if someone comes up to me, is like, hey, this is the night, this is the theme. Yeah, so I have to go back and do some research and see what fits the brand, what kind of people go there, what are they looking for, you know, all those kind of things. So all these small elements and all add up value to it. So you sit and you research a lot to see what people are expecting from the venue. Like if you're going for a festival kind of vibe, people want to come there and see something massive, like blown up, out of proportion characters or things placed around with a lot of lights and very psychedelic, trippy looking things around. But if you're looking for something so smaller venue where people just like the sound and the DJ playing over there, you just keep it very simple, minimalistic, more with lighting. So yeah.
Okay, I just want to sort of, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the topic, but since we're still speaking about ambience and things like that, and what we sort of take back now from whether it be a club night, whether it be a festival, and somebody on the comment section spoke about boutique festivals. That's supposed to be a new thing that's happening. With all three of you guys, and I'm sure, let's talk recent. What club night or what festival that have you attended recently, considering you guys come from this creative background and you know your sounds? What festival or again a club night that you've entered and gone, wow, this is really nice, you know, I've enjoyed the experience. I've even things like where the bookings are done right. For me, that's something that I always find out with the lineups and things like that, getting the artist right for a night, again the sound. What have you guys attended in recently that would say, yes, that was certainly an experience that I had?
Well, since I have the mic, I'll start.
Huh?
Since I have the mic, I'll start it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, well, for me, I can't think of anything else but Time Warp because. Well, yeah. Well, apart from Time Warp, yeah, Way 115, yeah, for sure, yeah, why not? Because like you said, everything matches. The lineup is great, the decor is great. This is why I was talking to Ihmsen about how the ambience of the place is so important. You know, before it was more important to just create a scene. So I was not concentrating on decor. I was like, okay, at least let me get 50 people to come and hear my music. That was my idea. The decor we'll see later. But now it's come to a point like 50 people are listening to your music. But what's making you stand out is the decor. So, but the guys in Europe are, you know, they're way ahead. I'm not even considering them. So when you take a festival like Time Warp, it's the lineup, it's the music, it's the way it's curated, it's the decor, it's from the time you buy your ticket and you walk in, the experience is just amazing. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let me be very specific. Time Warp Mannheim. Because I didn't have a very good time Warp New York. Okay, so for me it was Time Warp Mannheim.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I've been away from the festival circuit for a while, but yet I'm still involved in festivals. And you know, one could argue, you know, oh well, you haven't been to a festival in a while. Why do you throw one? And well, not just one. I'm going to be doing a few things that are more festival-like. And the reason I do that is because I think there is a need for a certain kind of entertainment, which you can culminate into a festival by bringing different creative inputs, bringing different artist types, bringing different creative backgrounds, people with different creative backgrounds together. And I think that's really what festivals are. If I was to say, you know, would I look at something and go, that's incredible, I would say Ozora. Yeah, you know, from what I know, from what I've seen, I mean, I haven't been to Ozora. I haven't been to Ozora. I haven't. So out of everything that is out there that I would like to go and see, that would definitely be one of them. I think the ideology is fantastic. I think the creative source and the ideas are superb. But having said that, again, it's not an educated answer because I don't have that at the moment. But I also think festivals are very relevant to the places that they are held in.
Okay,
So,
if not specifically a festival, even a club night that you just went very recently, where you just thought that, okay, wow, you know, they got the venue on point, they got the artists on point, the crowd, because obviously vibes clearly also an important thing that's quite important as well.
you know, to be honest, I mean, the one club that sticks in my mind was, and it doesn't exist anymore, is Cable in London, for example.
Okay.
You know, when I say underground, you know, that would come under the definition. Incredible experience, very raw approach to, you know, to what it was, and of course it doesn't exist anymore. But again, I feel that a lot of the success that venues and festivals have is relevant to the venues and the cities that they are in. I think it's great to be inspired by these places, but I think it's completely off brief to replicate them, because Dubai is a very different city. It's in a completely different part of the world. The approach has to be more creative, because I think that's where the longevity would last in terms of the creativity, you know, and the concept and how you put it together. And this is why I'm involved in a couple of projects. You know, I'm involved with Dian and his brand, Groove on the Grass. I've got one with Ashwin called Perspective, and we're starting a new chill-out-based festival in next season, which, you know, we're all going to be working. We're all going to be working on that, you know, and everyone will be involved in that. And you know, there's so much. Dubai is going like 100 miles a minute at the moment. You know, everything is fast-paced. And, you know, techno is a preposition now in party speak. You know, if someone talks very techno, that's it. You know, regardless of, you know.
I don't even want to say I'm a techno DJ anymore.
The people that actually started it for the right reasons now have to, you know, hide behind the curtain and go, oh God, do I have to say I'm a techno DJ?
What do you do? I'm going to a few minutes.
Me, I think one of my most memorable festivals I've been to was at a small town in Germany called Haldern. They had this festival called the Haldern Pop Festival. They had DJs like Apparat playing over there.
Apparat is his favorite.
Yeah, exactly. So a very proper electronica scene. Yeah, for so long, exactly. No, he hasn't. His last album was like 2013. Yeah. Really good. And then another smaller festival in Iceland where you just cater to 2,000, 3,000 people. So it's nice. It's something small.
I like it how it's 2,000, 3,000 people.
Yeah, it's small.
What's it called?
The one in Iceland, man, is a weird name. I don't know. I was just driving by and then one of the friends. Was a 2-day festival, but really, no, it wasn't inside. It was like a big warehouse kind of thing. But really nice, really nice. And I didn't explore the whole place actually. It was just one whole area, but yeah, it was really nice. And they had all these bands from Iceland. It was not electronic, but mostly bands. But really nice, like proper. Yeah, post indie rock. Post. No, he likes that sound. I know, he loves that. Yeah. It's because bands like not Sigur Rós, but on the same lines, like Sigur Rós. You can't pronounce most of the names, but proper indie bands, like amazing stuff. That's it. I mean, all I got to know is because I met someone on Tinder, and she was like, hey. Where you? You're like, hey, what are you up to? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you're like, yeah, I love it because that's the way you meet people and you're like, hey, come check this out and see what's going on. And that's the reason I would use it, because just to meet people and see what's going on in the scene. So I was like, hey, what's going on? And so like, yeah, we had this festival and it was really cool. So like, I had to come and check it out, and that's how I went, and we had an amazing time. And really good music, bands, and vibe. So yeah, stuff like that. I like.
But we still don't know what the name of the festival is.
I'll find out. Give me the
Check. Alright, so I was thinking maybe we'll play a couple of tracks.
Yeah, we could. Why not?
Something that Warren's inspiration. Maybe Warren can tell us whichever track you're playing. Warren can tell us what inspired him with this track, whatever. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're just talking right now about sort of music that has inspired us. I'll let Warren let us know while I quickly.
Are we doing
look for
Michelle?
this track.
Is that the one we're playing?
What are we playing?
Hot Night?
Okay, we can play Hot Night.
So Hot Night was a track by Michelle Endigeo-Cello. She's this incredible bassist. She's played for anyone you could possibly throw at, any name you could throw at her. She's this force of creativity that I was introduced to by Candy, one of my best friends ever, and who lives in India. This was 2002. And I heard this album, and at the time it was, I've had many years of loving the R&B hip-hop scene, but this was a raw sound that really got to me and has always stuck with me. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and here it is.
It's a hot night. Let's talk about the sign of the time. Politics in the fight of a revolutionary soul singer. It's a hot night. Head down to the club for the beat of the out. Let's talk about the world, yo. Yeah. Can you pick me up? You know I hate driving in the evil city. And baby, read my mind, hit like a die. If I can get some coffee and we can get our talk on. Seems like I caught up in this romanticized idea of revolution. With saviors, prophets and heroes. But in the silence of my prayers, I had a vision of my hatred dissolving in the grains of sand. Realize that to the universe, that's all I really am. Just a grain of sand. I don't get caught up in all that spiritual shit, but ain't much to hold on to. We all living in the world built on rape, starvation, great need, fascist regimes, white man, rich man, democracy. Suffer in the world, trade paradise in the night. But it's a hot night. Let's talk about the sign of the time. Politics in the fight of a revolutionary soul singer. Word up, come on. It's a hot night. Head down to the club for the pina coladas, alcohol. Let's talk about the world, y'all.
Nike has a
Let me be the first to say this. Fuck the first bitch ever asked me to buy her some dumb shit. Come on.
Niggas be fighting for Jordans they can't afford, bought in the store, costing more than 100. Yeah, capitalism got them trapped in a vision that tell lies. They watch way more than the sunset. I feed my babies with music, I tell the truth with now I'm a target and they marketing that or some of my bitch. It's a urgent emergency, courtesy of the counterinsurgency trying to murder me, and now it's on. And it's cause I verbally heard of all the absurdities at the rhyme home, and I survived the storm. And certainly words could be weapons for people heard me. They thinking they God and they decide what's right and wrong. They live in the bubble, I live for the struggle. After the fight, we home on a hot night. My woman is nice and warm, but
it's a hot night. Yeah, let's talk about the sign of the time. Politics in the fight of a revolutionary soul singer. Come on, it's a hot night. Head down to the club for the pina coladas, alcohol. Let's talk about the world, y'all.
Let's do it, come on. Join the party, fists in the air. Everybody for the
revolutionary soul singer.
Side to side, third eye on the prize. We take a ride with the revolutionary soul singer. Give the seeds what they need to breathe and proceed. It's the revolutionary soul singer. Word up, yeah, y'all, we prepared, y'all. No fear, y'all, come on.
It's a shame that we already gone. Yeah, it's a shame that we already gone.
Cause you blind, baby, blind to the fact.
It's a shame that we already gone.
Cause you blind, baby.
It's a shame that we already gone.
Cause you blind, baby. Blind to the facts of who you are.
Yeah, but it's a hot night. Let's talk about the sign of the time. Politics in the plight of a revolutionary soul singer. The bomb is a hot night. Head down to the club for the pina coladas out, alcohol. And let's talk about the world, y'all. Let's do it.
And now, of course, that the welfare system has been disestablished,
Soul singer.
and there are no jobs, so to speak, for the women who are told that if they don't work,
Revolutionary soul
that's really bad. They can only get welfare for a certain period of time, and then they have to find a job. Now, they haven't had the opportunity to go to an institution like this. They may not have the skills.
Check.
Okay.
Yo, you want to play another track or should we get on to
Can I
chat?
just ask you guys, there are some questions that have come in. I'd like to get them answered. So there's a question in from Aslam, which goes, is there any plans to build a community in Dubai to support more local talents and encourage youngsters to pursue electronic music? I think that's a very good question. Even with myself, because I consider myself a bedroom DJ, or whatever that classification is. And I'm sure there are a lot of youngsters. I mean, you guys being around for that long in the industry definitely know and can advise youngsters on how they could probably now go about. And the challenge now is obviously anybody who's got a laptop is literally a producer and a DJ today. So what advice would you give upcoming artists and DJs to get their name out and things like that?
Check. Actually, let Warren or Ihmsen. Yeah. Yeah. Coming from a DJ producer point of view. That's you, by the way.
I'm going to say the same thing. Like follow your passion, but whoever, if you want to write music, you want to be a DJ or whatever, you just need to put in the time and effort into doing what you like doing, and that's about it.
But for me, I mean, as Ihmsen was talking about it, yes, of course, those are important. Of course, if there's no talent, you're not.
It's
really important.
That's another thing. Actually, that's a good thing you brought that up.
But the thing is, if you have the talent, is that enough? How do you need to sell yourself? Because there's a lot of people with talent not knowing how to sell themselves.
Yeah, that's another thing. What I realized of late, I think in the last 2 years, a lot of people don't know what they're really good at. So unless you go out there, try and doing a lot of things, and then you can actually get an idea of what you're really good at, and then focus on that. It's just about exploiting your talents, that they say. You need to figure out, and a lot of people don't even know what they're really good at. And I think once you figure that out and you work towards it, you can actually
achieve it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, to answer that question, I think the advice would be is, dedicate a little bit of dedicate towards everything. I mean, it's not just about sitting in the studio and making the best music. Yes, it's the most important thing, but it's also being in the right place, talking to the right people, selling your music to the right person, being seen at the right venue, being seen at the right promoter. How you do this is you need to do it. As much as you're sitting in the studio and making the best music, how does one know it's the best music? I don't know. I mean, you need to be out there.
It's not.
I think he was getting into more about how, is there any plan basically with you guys to build a sort of community as well?
Okay. To build a community for youngsters, from our point of view, and I say this as Zico and me, okay, from my point of view is Warped as a podcast. The whole idea was started off for people to, for me to identify who I can get that. Even I like somebody's sound, and whether they're a known person or an unknown person, is to get them out. So from my point of view, that's a small step I can take. Now, in terms of community, that's a huge step. That's involving a lot of people, first of all, who are on the same wavelength, who can agree on a lot of things. I don't know. I just feel there's too much work. It could be, but it has to just be the right people, I assume. So, I don't know. What do you think?
well, I might slightly go off topic here, but just in the whole producer talent pool of, you know, where we are right now in the world, I think the whole digital interface has allowed people to believe that they can be a talent that is out there in terms of, you know, releases, in terms of, you know, getting their names going, and that's fantastic. I think it opens it up for everybody. But it also, what it also does is it allows everyone to become a legend in their own lunchtime, you know, and that has its downsides, because then, you know, if somebody's got a little extra money and they can push their track, for example, then the person that is looking for inspiration is going to hear a track that is not necessarily what they should be a source of inspiration to them. It's going to be from somebody that has a little extra money to push a marketing tool forward, you know, so people, you know, get this on a top 10 somewhere. I mean, you know, from back in the day, from when I come, and this is what some of the tracks I've selected today show, is that it was talent, it was musicians, they played an instrument, they, you know, they wrote songs, they wrote lyrics. I mean, that in itself made people think, you know. Now it's your understanding of samples, or, you know, how you can work a software, which is, yes, in itself a skill. I agree, fine, not everybody can do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're creating something that's completely new. There's very few and far between. I mean, I personally don't follow labels, I don't follow artists anymore. And the reason I don't do it is because I'm fed up. I'm really fed up, because there's a sense of monotony that has crept in, and I don't have the time for it. So I choose to get educated by going to other people's parties, by having DJs at my own parties educate me in terms of what I like and what I don't like. You know, I don't see it as an inspirational, I don't see the music marketplace as an inspirational place at the moment. I think it's few and far between. You'll come across something and go, man, that's amazing, you know. But by and large, I've given up, you know, and I shouldn't be saying this, I'm supposed to be involved in the scene, but, you know, this is the honest truth. This is where I'm at.
Yeah, check. Yeah, just to finish off Aslam's question, I mean, would we start a community here for new and upcoming DJs? As a collective, I don't think, I mean, it's an effort. I don't think that's going to be done. But as individuals, I think each of us are more than happy to, and I say this without even asking these guys, I think each of us are more than happy to help whoever wants to.
Why not?
As a collective, I don't know, because each one's got their own agenda, right? Yeah. So one is busy with things, Ihmsen's busy with things, I'm busy with things. Now as a collective,
I'm busy with things.
You're busy with things, yeah. Well, as a collective, whether we can do anything together, I'm not sure if we're going to sit down and put our heads together as a collective. But individually, I'm more than happy to, somebody hits me up and says, hey man, I need help on this.
Maybe they can drop by for Kitchen Sink. I mean,
yeah, more than happy to say.
Any youngsters are listening, why don't you drop by?
For example, somebody came up and said, I want to shoot, you know, Grew on the Grass. And I put them on to Warren. Okay, what happened after that is a whole different story. But,
okay, I'm gonna do I'm gonna try and do a.
But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, in a way we are a collective, but I think we're all working on our own. But whether we are going to put our heads together to work as a collective to encourage new upcoming DJs and producers and art guys or what, I don't know. But individually, I think we will do whatever we can.
Okay, I'm just gonna get into a couple of more questions. Let's see if we can answer them really quickly. There's Poonam, who's a clubber and a groupie, who's right here. Though she's still shooting questions on Facebook for some reason. And her question is, because she's listened to a lot of techno and been purely influenced by our sounds and parties, she wants to know, basically, are we trying to revolutionize without trying to be revolutionary?
Wow.
So, deep. Okay. I don't even know what that means, but anybody would want to answer that question?
Is that specific to any brand or just generally? Yeah. Are we? I guess. No, in a way. I mean, as much as we sit down and say we don't want to, do something because, yes, it's passion, but we also want to say, hey, it's my passion, but I also want you to get it. In a way, I don't know. That's the way I look at it, right? I'm doing something. We're doing Kitchen Sink. We're like, hey, this is something we love. Come join us, and hopefully you'll go and spread the word out to a few more friends and say, hey, kitchen sing's happening, this is what happens, and thing. So in a way, I think, yeah.
But coming back to it, that's what happened at Catwalk.
Exactly.
No one wanted to start something that would, effectively be all over the
Exactly.
scene. I don't think any of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were just doing something that we all enjoyed, and what came out of it is a matter of history and a matter of hindsight.
Yeah.
But again, yes, so I think we're not trying to be revolutionaries, Pooja, no. We don't want to be revolutionaries. Sorry, Poonam. Sorry, we're not trying to be revolutionaries. Well, I have to say, when it comes to Groove in the Grass, I'm not at liberty to speak because it's technically not my brand. It's Dean's and the Artist Network, and he has complete control over that. There is a sentiment I would like to say that is going to be echoed from that question in the upcoming season, but that I will leave up to Dean and when he decides to make his announcements, as it were. But yes, thank you for the question. And I'll let you know you asked.
But would I like to see a festival like that in Dubai? Yes, I would love to see a festival like that in Dubai. But do we have that many people to go to a festival like that in Dubai? I don't know. I really don't know. So I sometimes even put myself in the promoter's place. I put myself in the in the party people's place. So the promoter is like, oh man, if I have 4 stages, can I fill it up? I don't know. I don't know if I can fill it up unless you're willing to do across all genres, across all genres. So I don't know if there's a promoter like that. So would I like to see something like that in Dubai? Yes, I would love to see something like that in Dubai. Yeah. So I was thinking. Ihmsen, since I say this as a joke, but I think. I make a lot of fun about this because I think you're a talented guy producing music, and you just don't. And I try to make fun, so I'm hoping you would get in front of that computer and make some music. But anyway, this question I was just thinking in terms of music. Now with the whole electronic boom, there's so many producers coming out making music. A couple of years ago, we had tracks that were made out in, and we still played, as classics. 2004, 2002, 2000, whatever. I still play a lot of tracks. My question is, with all these producers today, with so much of music coming out, is 10 years from now, would you, is there any track from 2014, 2015, 2016 that you would still be playing 10 years later? Any track?
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of tracks. See, what happens, there are a lot of artists coming out and there's a lot of music coming out.
No, my question is, would you 10 years from now still be like, damn, this sounds fresh?
Exactly. There are quite a lot of tracks.
Okay, so give me 2 and why you think so. Or 1, it doesn't even have to be 2. Give me 1 guy you think that is making music that is going to be still fresh 10 years from now.
Because again, see, the thing is, I'm not really much into dance music. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's artists that I look up to, like John Hopkins. There are tracks that are really old, from 2004, 2002, like Trent Moller, Apparat. Guys like them, their sound never dies. It's been there for so long, almost 10 years now, and it's still going on. Yeah, exactly. I would play. If I'm playing it now, it's already 10 years from 2004. So, producers from today.
Yeah, like if somebody made a track today, 2015. Is
there
anybody that made a track 2015 that you would play?
Definitely. There are guys like Nils Fram, Olafur Arnolds, guys like I can't get names to the back of my head, but
and you would
really
play these tracks 10 years from now.
It's because it's more how I look at it. It's more a neoclassical sound.
But are these guys producers from who started producing in the recently, or these guys producing for a long time?
some recently, some over. Over a long time. So it's very, because there's so much music out there, and you kind of at times you're overwhelmed with so much sound. I prefer, that's the reason why I don't know names of artists. I have a whole big list of artists that I listen to, but at times I don't even know their names because I just go by the sound of the tracks that I know. That's it. I don't even follow them. And there are guys like Jeevan over here. This guy makes some really amazing music. It's more electronica, live, and not many people know about the local scene in the same way. And he does have a band by the name Madras. And exactly. I know. And the music, I'm not joking, is very Sigur Rós, apparat kind of stuff, and you guys should definitely check out. Like really, really good. And the awesome part. Yeah, I'm getting paid for this.
Nice product placement.
I get commission off his album. No, but it's nice to see people from the local scene that are doing something that's changing. No, not really changing. It's not really changing. It's just changing my perspective, but I like it. You know, I like to be around people who work and do work on music. So, yeah, finally.
That was all silent. Now we hear
Well, is there any track that any producer, any track that you think made in the last 2 years is going to stand out 10 years?
Well, coming back to what I said earlier, I'm completely ignorant at this point, because I have chosen to be. I'm not, it's not because of any other reason apart from the fact that I think there is an overkill and I don't have the patience anymore because, between film and doing production for the events that I'm doing, I don't really have the time to sit down. It's a terrible thing to say. I don't think it's a good excuse
I'm
either.
in the same mode.
I don't think it's a good excuse,
I can't.
but that I'm not. But I'm honestly not qualified to answer that question. Not at this point.
Okay, well, let's see.
What I'm qualified to do is produce an event, though.
Music.
No, I'm not. What's the question again?
Any producer that in the last 2 years or track or
yeah.
anything
Okay.
that you would still play 10 years
For me, I think it's a little different as well because I think I go through phases as well. So what I was probably listening to in 2014 is not what I'm listening to in 2017 as well.
But
So
you still do classics, right? Is there anything that today you would consider 10 years from now a classic where you're like, oh, damn, dude, I'm going to play this 10
to
years?
be honest, I don't think so because I don't think now the quality of music is as good as what it was 10 years ago. Yes, there's a lot of good tracks coming out. I totally understand that, but in terms of really calling it a classic, and I really want to probably find a track from 2014 where I think that it is really good. I don't know. I know we've had this debate maybe 1,001 times. Maybe.
It's more music made for the moment, more than, like you said, it's now something that you're. I'm digging a lot. Whether I will play this 10 years from now, I don't know. Yeah. You're right.
For instance, we've had this conversation quite a few times. Like an artist like Monologue, where he is today and it's totally different from what it started out in the beginning, right? So it's a little difficult right now because I don't know if I'm in the same situation. With music itself, because there's so much to learn from as well, and there's so much of music right now that's just thrown in your face. So I don't know if classics are a thing anymore.
No, I think it's a thing. I just think there's just
What about you?
too many.
What about you? Do you have any?
No, the reason I brought up this question is because sometimes, sure. The reason I brought up this question is because I'm listening, like you said, there's so much of music you're listening to today, and I don't know if there's. But like Zico also said, every month, I'm exaggerating. Every 6 months, maybe your whole perception of the music is changing, and then what you were listening to 6 months later, you don't even want to play now, right? But those days, there were guys making tracks who you can still, no matter what set you're playing, you'll still drop it in, and people will be like, "Hey, who's made this track?" And you're like, "Ah, dude, this was made like 12 years ago." It still sounds fresh, right? I don't know. Maybe if I, till now there's nothing that I am thinking that I'm going to play 10 years from now. Nothing.
Well, if I had to really specifically speak of an artist right now that I've been enjoying, maybe I think the first album was 2016 or 2015. Tencel. I don't know if anybody.
Yes, of course. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that's something that maybe 10 years from now, I still think I would probably play a Tencel track.
Yeah,
for me.
but would techno be the same 10 years from now? And would his sound be the same?
It wouldn't.
Yeah,
It wouldn't. That's why I specifically picked that artist, because that sound that he's creating right now is something that I can relate to, and I think I will relate to that sound.
Nice, but he's brilliant.
So
he's brilliant. I hope we can catch him sometime. But anyway, Warren wanted to add something to that. So one second.
I also think classics, is something that I don't think people produce a track with the hope that it's going to become a classic. I think if somebody did that, they'd have to get their heads examined for narcissism. I mean, So I think it has everything to do with the period in which that artist exists and his surroundings or her surroundings, and how that affects them, what their motives are behind creating that piece of music, and how that relates to the audience that is going to listen to it. And I think any track is capable of becoming a classic, provided it has the right elements, which is, a strong bass, I think relevant to its time, I think revolutionary if it can be, but that's maybe asking too much of every single track. That can't happen always, but it's a matter of chance. It's a matter of what point in time this track is heard, and people's ability to identify with it, and the artist and their ideology, and how they see their their brand of artistry.
You are giving me one of the tracks, maybe we can listen to one of the tracks, which is a Michael Jackson track.
Yes. Oh, that's a great time to.
That's another thing that we can.
Great track to play when you talk about a classic.
Something like Michael Jackson, if that artist has come on today.
No, not even Michael Jackson. I mean, going off, such big artists like them. I'm going to go to a small artist.
But there's a reason I chose this track as well.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm saying just out of the box. Like for me, the track, not considering any genres, music sounds better. I would still drop, if I can, in a set. For me, that is a classic. Music sounds better. It is a classic. I mean, like, I would drop it when I'm playing a fucking techno track, whatever.
Sorry,
I would do it. For me, that's a classic. But is somebody making music like that anymore? I don't know. That's what I mean. Anyway, we'll listen to Warden's track now.
So Michael Jackson is obviously, you can tell he's one of my all-time favorite artists, if not my favorite artist. The reason I chose Off the Wall is because both the Jacksons and the Jackson 5, this was his first foray as a true solo artist in that sense. He'd had a couple of other albums before this, but Off the Wall was his handshake. You walk into a room, people don't necessarily know what you're capable of, and you extend your hand, and you give them a firm handshake, and they get a sense of who you are. And this is what Off the Wall is. Why it's a classic? Well, it's obvious. If you listen to him and Quincy Jones, there's the start of what is an incredible professional chemistry that you don't see very often. I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all, but you don't see it at that level. And again, this was 79, 80, when the world was a different place. So coming back to everything, it's all about time, place, it's about where that piece of music is first heard, it's how the people listening to it are feeling about it, which is why, almost 40 years later, it's an inspiration. You listen to the arrangement, you listen to the groove, it's coming out of the 70s, it's going into the 80s, it's taking disco into the electronic phase. It's even got elements of rock that are laced in the background, and it's genius because it's somebody just doing something because that's what they want to do. They're not being told to do it. He's not got 20 execs breathing down his back telling him this is the sound that he has to create, and this is why Off the Wall is relevant 40 years later.
There ain't rules, it's up to you. Decide to come alive and party alright through the night. To hide your ambitions, gotta let that fool loose deep inside your soul. Wanna see an exhibition
Okay, there was one question that came in. I think everybody wants to know, what is kitchen sink and what is behind the sink? And yeah, I think I'll let Adam answer this. Is like, what's going on? I think everybody needs to know.
You want me to take this call?
This call. Okay, so kitchen sink, basically, it literally, Zico, correct me if I'm wrong, Zico. You moved into your bachelor pad.
Yes, that was.
We started having more get-togethers by your kitchen sink.
Yes, that's.
And we were like, why not make it a thing? So so I'll let you get into details.
I mean, there wasn't really a start and stop on how we started this. I think it was, and that's the word I keep on using now. It was very organic to sort of start this. I mean, I think we all share the love of like just music and small intimate gatherings, and it's always about friends and family that are around you. And I think that's how it sort of kicked off. And I think anybody who's lived in Dubai would know that most of the parties actually happen in the kitchen itself. That's where that's what it is. And I think when I moved into my place,
it's like bedroom DJ, and then club DJ. This is kitchen sink, and then kitchen sink club. I don't know.
So yeah, I mean that's essentially what it was. It was just us sort of having a conversation and literally behind the sink, and that's where we are right now.
Correct.
And we're sort of sharing the love for everybody to enjoy as well. And I think we're gonna move on as well. I think.
Yeah, we have some plans.
We have some plans as well. Yeah. So what are these plans? I know we have these plans.
So hopefully somewhere in the course of this year, not to sound monotonous again, but we plan to open a record label called Kitchen Sink Records. That's the plan. Yeah. So two things on the board. One is Kitchen Sink Records, and one is to take kitchen sink outside somebody's kitchen and create the experience to a few people. This is on plans.
It would be cool if we went into hotels and took over like a restaurant kitchen and had a party.
No, so this is what I was telling Zico. I said there's no point in taking up another place and just doing another party. Then we'd just become another party. So the whole point is to keep that whole kitchen sink element. So we plan on doing a whole production around it. So wherever we do, so when we are ready with this production, that's when we are going to go out. The production being, wherever we go, it will be a mobile kitchen. Literally a mobile kitchen. So the plan is to...
I can cook some food.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're looking at. At some point, somebody coming in, cooking.
I'd love to.
Things like that.
That's how it was in the initial days. That's what I used to actually do while everybody was at home. I used to try and cook some food, and then it just... I tried. That's why I use the word I tried to cook some food. And but I think it's an interesting thing with the whole us trying to...
I mean, we literally went and we tried to look at some venues in Dubai, and we found a few venues. But, we also sat and we were like, dude, there's no point in taking this to a venue and just being another party. There's really no point. The whole point was that we were doing this out of somebody's kitchen, and we were like, let's keep that. Okay. So if we move out, we're moving to somebody's kitchen. We're open to it. If anybody has their kitchen open,
anybody with a kitchen, yes, anybody with a kitchen,
drop us some comments and say, hey, and we'll look into it. But otherwise, we're looking to make our own production with with the kitchen sink and then taking it forward. Apart from that, Kitchen Sink Records, that's something that we were looking at. Hopefully, we're now trying to sort out a lot of things as to how we want to take it forward. But the idea is to get out the music that we put out, and then hopefully involve a lot of locals, people from India who want to be involved with us. So yeah, that's what Kitchen Sink is.
Okay. I think Warren's Ihmsen, I just want to go back into the whole conversation about the music and tracks that sort of influenced us and things like that. what, in terms of for you, Adam, what track do you think that really sort of opened your mind? Because again, we speak a lot about genres and rock music and things like that, and it doesn't have to be techno in specific, but
I know.
just music. Like, what was that track that sort of defined, or made you think that, okay, wow, this sound is really good, and this is something, probably happened in the 70s for you, but...
Okay, there's two parts to this question. What was the inspiration for electronic music, or what was the inspiration in general for? No. I mean, it's not. I mean, I just didn't get up one day and say I love techno and started becoming a techno DJ. Yeah. So I was a resident DJ. I did my due of playing Coco Jumbo and whatever. So yeah, I did it. Everybody has to do that. Yeah, I just think everybody has to be a resident DJ. Exactly. I think everybody has to be a resident DJ before becoming a DJ that in their own music, the passion that they want to push.
People have to be challenged to play 5 nights a week to nobody or to everybody, and still do it because that's what they want to do.
Correct.
When people can do that, I call them a resident DJ.
Correct.
Anything outside of that, they just play with a brand often enough, and that might sound derogatory, and I don't mean to insult anybody, but my understanding of a resident DJ is very, very different. It comes from a time when we saw them.
Correct.
We saw them being residents they lived there.
Yeah.
Hence
literally,
it's not...
I've worn a jacket to work. Yeah, because I've been asked to wear a jacket to work. So, yeah. No, but to answer your question, what was the track that got me into electronic music was Grease 2000. Yeah, literally, it was a Ministry of Sound compilation by, I don't know, maybe, what's this guy's name from Culture Club? Boy George. Yeah, maybe it was his mix, or possibly Brandon Block, No, not Pete Tong. It was either Brandon Block or him, and it was, I don't know, CD1 or CD2. CD2 had Café Del Mar and Grease 2000, and that mix from Café Del Mar to Grease 2000 was insane. For me, I don't play this anymore, but what got me into electronic music, possibly those two tracks. Yeah.
Was definitely BT. This track, BT. Yeah, BT.
Flaming.
And that was the other track was Somnambulist by BT, and I used to have back then in the day, sit at home and work on Reason when it just came out. The music production software just came out back then. Yeah, it was Reason 1.5 and Fruity Loops 3. Yeah, I started with Fruity Loops because I was so comfortable working with on Fruity Loops 3, and then my friend's dad was introduced us to Reason 1.5, and I was like, what's this?
What is Reason at now?
9.
Yeah.
I upgraded.
He's talking about 1.5.
No, and I just recently upgraded my Reason to 9 because I had a few issues with Ableton and Reason, and I was still stuck on a Reason 4. So even my computer couldn't handle it. They're like, okay, you need to upgrade to Reason 9. So yeah, I had to.
What is the track?
But yeah, no, the Somnambulist by BT.
But also coming back to that, residents also need a space. So this is why we need a nightclub.
Yeah.
It all comes back to it. We need a nightclub. I wish, my darling. I wish. I can barely afford to serve a drink in a nightclub. I don't open one.
We're all just staying there.
But let's hope.
BC Brothers were a definite influence. BC Boys, sorry, Chemical Brothers and BC Boys. with the whole hip hop R&B influence at that time. Weirdly enough, we were growing up in Dubai. I mean, you listen to a lot of R&B and hip hop, so we lived on our Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac and things like that. That was definitely an influence at that time. And to be honest, hip hop's moved, and I don't probably listen to as much as hip hop now. But I mean, the quality of hip hop and R&B at that time in the 90s was just incredible. I mean, it was just incredible.
Exactly.
Goes back to the same thing about music.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what respect Check. Yeah. So I was. I had a. Yeah. So I had another question about. Since we spoke about Kitchen Sink Records, and this is to all you guys. I mean, there's so many labels today in the world. So many. Is there room for another?
Well, there's always room for a label that knows what they're doing. I don't think that because there are as many labels in the world that has anything to do with the quality of the output. So, yes, I think when you say you're going to start a label, I'd like to think that people doing that have the concept of what it entails to start a label, number one. Your place in the industry, both in terms of curating artists, finding the talent, and also educating an audience. This is where I think a lot of the labels, so to speak, just fall short of. And unfortunately, money has a lot to do with it as well, because sometimes to push that, you need a budget. You need to reach people. How do you do that if you don't have the spend? If you don't have, okay. I'm not saying that these are the only factors, but these are factors that eventually come into play. You can start off, but to push, money is a huge aspect. So which is why there are so many labels, but not doing enough. And I'm not saying it's because they can't. Sometimes they may have their own issues, and money being one of them, like I said, maybe a dearth of artists. You never know. But it's a big responsibility. So when people say they start a label, I was involved in a label.
Nice. Which one?
128.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
You, Jason, and John.
And the reason
okay.
and again, I'm speaking from experience, is that because
What, you all did 3 releases?
Yeah, and we got involved in our own personal projects, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do what we intended or what we set out to do. So I'm not speaking from.
And was that something? But did you all say, "Hey, this is going to be the only music that we're going to release," or is it just going to be something that we like, or how did you all take the call?
It was essentially, and I think pretty much anyone that would have started something like a label or close to a label would say that this is exactly why they did it, is to educate people, to put music that they, that they had access to, and artists that were not necessarily released at the time.
You guys had a nice logo, though. I don't know who came up with it.
No, I mean, the thing is, again, having said that, this is why I say if you're going to start a label, it's not something that you can do in your lunchtime.
Sure.
Again, it's going to fail.
Sure.
100%. And it requires constant input, it requires commitment, it requires, the dedication that people don't necessarily show. I mean, if one release doesn't work out, then people's attention spans have gone. They're like, fuck this. Beep. Not doing it anymore. It's not worked out. Beep. But yeah, sorry, we have a bit of delay. I think Facebook sorted it out. But Ihmsen, anything?
I mean, the reason I asked about this label is because I know Ihmsen has got 15, 20 tracks that is lying in your. Some 20 tracks sitting in his computer and not sent out to any label and not done anything about it, and that's it.
I know.
Every time you ask him, he's like, "I am finishing it."
EPs ready to go.
Every time I ask him, "Dude, what happened?" and he's like, "Hey, I'm finishing it. But my question is, if you had your label, if you had your own label to put out your own tracks, would you do it? Kitchen Sink Records.
Yeah, for sure. See, the thing is, again,
Okay, just for the record, how many tracks do you have made?
For myself?
No, just made and kept in your computer. How many tracks?
35 maybe.
There we go. That's 2 albums.
Because
Minimum.
I actually just
It's 4 albums.
I just checked it like day before yesterday. Because like, hey, you know what, I want to put things. But you know, again, I have a lot of people asking me like, you know, why don't you put your music out? But what it comes down to is like, I make music for myself.
That's okay.
I don't make it for
and
others.
I make music for myself, and that's
Yeah, so
sometimes
exactly.
I'm sitting and thinking,
So-
if nobody else is going to release it, why don't I release it?
Yeah, no.
Now it's a whole different ballgame. Who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
Okay, that we will talk about later.
Exactly.
Okay.
So and when it comes down to obviously production, is like, you know, I do come under that category of being like a perfectionist. It has to sound proper, has to sound, you know, just there, like, because you want this to be something that where people listen to it every day, or maybe 5 years down the line, 10
Sure.
years down the line. I don't want it to be something like where people just play it once and then forgotten about it. So
So that's what I'm saying. So if you had an opportunity to open your own label, to release your own tracks, would you do it?
I wouldn't, because it's time consuming. You need a lot of time and dedication and effort to put.
Assuming
into that.
assuming you had the time.
No, I still wouldn't.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you guys. Like, do it. Take this. Do it.
Okay, good. We have one person to
Exactly.
look for music, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, cool.
So I think we're sort of running out of time, and we might not have things to talk about for the next Behind the Sink, which we would have in the near future. So stick by. What we'll also do in the comments, we'll post all the tracks that we spoke about. Ihmsen, I think, had quite a few artists that he named today, so we'll put that in. Another thing, I want to give a shout out to, like we said, if anybody wants to give their kitchen to do this, host, thank you, Kanika, for giving us this beautiful venue that we are doing this in. Big shout out for her.
And thank you, Ihmsen. Thank you, Warren.
Thank you, and everybody else. I know nobody can see all the other people that are behind the camera, but there are quite a few people here. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah.
No, it's not.
So thank you everybody, and I think we'll just end here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we play one of Ihmsen's track to end out.
Yeah, Ihmsen, do you have one of your
a
tracks
track
that we
that
can
you
play?
want to play? Of course, I told you to bring a track. Don't look so
Yeah,
surprised.
okay. So we'll end with. He's like, yeah, I told him. Okay, so thank you guys. We're just gonna end with one of Ihmsen's tracks. This is gonna take a bit of time.
Yeah,
so
maybe
somebody
till
else.
then, maybe till then, Ihmsen can say which track and why. Oh my God! I asked him a very difficult question. Which track do you want him to play, and why? Why was it? Why do you like this track so much? That you brought it on a USB all the way to kitchen sink, about 10 minutes late.
No, I just have like, I just put like, I think 3 of them maybe. So yeah.
Which track? Which track do you have?
You're talking about something that I made?
Yeah, we're gonna end with your track, one of your tracks. Which track? Why?
Okay, my most played track I think I've had is Animals. Yeah, Animals. Which year is that to, I'm guessing?
I hope it's not Animal by Martin Garrix. Why do I know this? Why do I know this? Animal by Martin Garrix? No. That's good. That's good. I mean, yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw that in Groove. Ihmsen, maybe we'll just play one of your tracks. No, I'm not probably with Ihmsen, you'll never know. It's Reason 1.5. Come on, man.
Yeah, so basically this was just one of the tracks that I came home from one of the deep like events. Yeah.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing at your zest.
So much of energy.
Yeah, because I keep saying I'm not a big fan of dance music. I prefer
That's okay.
more of indie electronica
That's
and
fine.
stuff like that. So I came home one day like so just I came home one day and I just wanted to write something because I thought it was went well with the sound.
So this is your track.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Animals.
Nice. So Ihmsen, what are you calling yourself on this?
Snarefield.
Oh, whoa, Snarefield. Snarefield.
The name is pretty cool.
This is Snarefield Animals, and we are signing out. Thank you very much. Take it easy. Bye.